I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a guy named Donald Trump who's president, all right? And from day one of his presidency, he has possessed a tremendous ability to conjure scandal out of thin air.
President Trump facing backlash this morning after saying former President Obama didn't contact the families of troops killed in the line of duty.
He made the remark while responding to a question about why he has remained silent for 12 days after an ambush in Niger.
How do you start with something so clear and then suddenly veer off track? You know, it's like Trump was handed the baton in a race, and instead of staying in his lane, he walks off the track, gets into a car, drives the car off a cliff, rolls down the cliff, the car explodes, he gets out of the car, dusts himself off, and he's like, why didn't Obama drive? Like, who is he? Just one little moment, and then all week long, it just kept snowballing out of control.
The controversy growing after Mr. Trump insisted he called all of the families of soldiers killed during his presidency.
My policy is I've called every one of them.
But the widow of Army Sergeant Jonathan Hunter, killed in August in Afghanistan, says she never heard from the president.
I don't like that I was told that I would receive the phone call, but then I never did.
Chris Baldridge, whose son was killed while serving in Afghanistan, says President Trump called in July to offer condolences and even offered to send him a personal check for $25,000.
The money never came. The White House says it mailed the check on Wednesday, only after the story was published.
Dude, how do you mess up a call so badly? Trump calls a man to offer condolences on the death of his son and then somehow ends up stiffing him $25,000. How did this spiral out of... Like, he can't help himself, let's be honest. Like, I bet when a reporter called him and they were like, hey, where was the money that you owe that man? Trump was like, thank you for reminding me. As a show of gratitude, I'm gonna give you $25,000. There you go. How do you feel? So now, think about it. We've gone from a simple question about Niger to a 3-day media storm about whether Trump calls families and what he says when he calls these families. Because by the sounds of it, the families may start out hoping that the president would reach out, and they end up wishing that they had let his calls go to voicemail.
That new controversy facing President Trump. He's taking heat for an alleged insensitive remark he made to the widow of a slain Army sergeant.
Details of the conversation come from a Democratic congresswoman who overheard the call.
I didn't hear the whole phone call, but I did hear him say, I'm sure he knew what he was signing up for.
The comments were certainly, I think, taken very far out of context by the media, and if there's any frustration, I think that's where it should be focused.
Okay, now look. In Trump's defense, and I know people don't like hearing that phrase, Donald Trump is the worst at words, all right? Can we agree on that? He is the worst at words. He was probably trying to convey a heartfelt message, but instead, the people interpreted it as him disrespecting the troops. That's what they said. He was trying something, and then people are now like, Donald Trump, you disrespected the troops. I bet you wherever Colin Kaepernick is right now, he's probably like, well, ain't that a bitch? Because that's not what he was trying to do. And I don't know, I don't think we should be surprised that Trump offended this family. We've all heard him speak. We're offended every day. Like, what do you think? A phone is going to magically transform him into Sir Phineas the Eloquent? Like Trump's going to be talking like, all these losers and haters, bing, bing, bong, bong, bigly. Hold on, I gotta make a call. Greetings and salutations. My soul is awash in a great flood of sorrow as I reflect upon your circumstance. Fare thee well. Right, where was I? Little Rocket Man! It's not gonna happen. I mean, clearly Donald Trump sucks at making these calls, which is unfortunate, because I don't know who at the White House can make these calls, right? Jared Kushner can't do it because he's on line 1 fixing the Middle East. You don't want Sarah Huckabee Sanders calling because she'll tell you your son didn't die. And then 30 other people can't do it because they've all been fired. There's nobody who can make the calls. Okay, maybe Melania. Melania can make the call. That's who. Right? Although I don't trust her to not sneak in her own personal agenda. I wouldn't be shocked if she was like, I'm so jealous for the loss of your husband.